Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs podcast. We're at a bonus episode today. We've got a big one. Minnesota Twins trade deadline activity. Was it good? Was it bad? Was it average? What are your thoughts? Now, of course, we did get the media, social media, mainstream media, really on the backs of the Twins owners, leadership, general manager for dumping all the players. So we're going to do an analysis today, come up with your own conclusion, who the players that the Twins received, there's 13 of them, versus the players that have been dealt, 11 of them, and some of the impacts on these trades and movement with keeping in mind that the team is for sale. Lots going on here. Lots going on. Twins are only 6 games below 500, I believe. So they're down there in fourth place. Not likely to do much damage with Detroit up there and these other good teams doing very well. So here's what they did. I'll go through the selections here and then just keep in mind your thoughts. Are these good moves? Are they bad? I'm going to look at it from a grand total, not on a trade by trade basis, but on a grand total. How did the Twins do? Let's take a look. Here's who the Twins got rid of. So I'm just going to go down here. All 11 players that the Twins disposed of, and I've got it sorted here by comment. So Johan Duran, not planned to trade. I'll repeat that. He wasn't part of any plan to trade him. But due to the high demand in the market, they couldn't really not trade him. And so what that means is when the Twins have players like this that are under multi-year deals, you can keep them under contract. And the team picking them up is not only just getting them for the rest of the year, the final 2 months, and then they have to start over and negotiate and see what they're going to do. These top players here are under multi-year deals. So the teams who pick them up now have them for multi-year. Johan Duran, the market was so high they couldn't not do it. The Twins, this was the number one man on the board for relievers, the number one in all of Major League Baseball. So teams were chomping at the bit. So if you're the ownership, when you're getting some of these players in return, it makes it kind of an easy point. And so they dealt Duran. Okay, the market so high, Twins were loaded up. The Twins bullpen players and pitchers were one of the highest demand out there. Twins on paper, I'll repeat, on paper, the last 2 years have been one of the toughest, best bullpens in all of Major League Baseball. So Duran was shipped out. Griffin Jacks, same thing, not planned to trade, but such a high demand for a setup / closer guy, they had to move him. Brock Stewart, not planned to trade, but high demand. Once again, Twins are sitting on a jackpot of these relievers, and the other teams are chomping at the bit. So when you get to see who we got here in return, some of these were easy, very easy decisions. Louis Varland, local St. Paul kid coming up through the Minnesota ranks. So did Duran and so did Jax, but came up through the farm system. High demand for the high throwing reliever. So those were kind of secondary. Later in the day when those trades came on the deadline, those things took place. Now the next one, Randy Dobnak. I don't think there's any plans to trade him, but because he's got such a very high AAA salary and a buyout next year, that if the Twins didn't want him, would have cost the Twins $1 million to have him just simply go away. Once again, we're looking at financial decisions here. His salary, which is $3 million right now, $3 million, I'll repeat that, playing for minor league AAA baseball. Next year, his contract would have had him go up to $6 million for a AAA player. So they had to move. They had to get him out of the way and get this. They sent him to the Tigers, who I don't think, I'm pretty fairly certain they didn't look at the contract, knowing that, hey, if this doesn't pan out, we're going to cut him. If we do, there's a $1 million buyout to cut him loose, or you have to pay him $6 million in 2026. So as we get into some of these, I'll call them the sins of the past in the Twins management, overpaying. Yes, I said overpaying. We keep hearing on social media the poll ads and the Twins are cheapskates who don't pay anybody. There are a handful of contracts here in the Twins organization that had me dumbfounded by just how much and how ridiculous some of these salary contracts are. Dobnik's one of them. AAA guy, starting pitcher, very good, nice enough guy, great pitcher for AAA. May not ever see the major leagues, but he's got a $6 million deal coming in next year, and I think he's still signed for 3 or 4 more years after that on his contract. So Detroit absorbed. They now take over his contract. It's not a new deal. It's not a new contract. They're absorbing his existing one. So he's going to be on Detroit Tigers books for the next 4 years unless they get rid of him. Carlos Correa not planned to trade. I think he was planned to be with the Twins here for many, many years. They made that big deal, but he has a very high multi-year salary. He had a no trade clause with one team only, Houston Astros. They wanted him back. He wanted to go. The story with Correa turns out, now I'm not sure if this is true or not, but when he signed the multi-year deal with the Twins, it was to play a couple of years at shortstop and then move over to play third, is what he said. And he said that was really, slow in the plans to take place. So therefore, I'm going to move back to Houston so I can be an everyday third baseman. I never heard any of this myself. We have all these shortstops coming up, Lewis, Brooks, Lee, over the last couple of years, and we had to move them around because Correa was locked in at short. So Lee became a second baseman. Lewis became a third baseman. We had to do this juggling because Correa was cemented at short. And so maybe when years down the road, when he got long in the tooth, he could shift over to third base, was my understanding. He made it sound like he wanted to be over there right away. So I don't buy that, but that's fine. Houston now is going to absorb that entire salary, those future years' salary payments. Twins will wrap up this year's payments to him, and then Houston's going to absorb that. So the best thing with getting rid of Correa was the future payments, the future years, the extremely high salary for an average hitting shortstop. Great defensively. I've always liked Correa defensively at short. Very good. Now, Harrison Bader, the final ones here. Harrison Bader, pending free agent. Unlikely to be re-signed. He had a deal in place for a mutual agreement at the end of 2025, and he's over $6 million, I think, now. That next year, if the Twins and Bader themselves both came to an agreement, they could keep him, but his salary would move up to $10 million. I think a little steep for Twins' taste, especially with the team being for sale. So Bader at $10 million, I don't think that's worth it. He's a great addition. I liked him on the squad. Willie Castro, another pending free agent, unlikely to be re-signed. When I say unlikely to be re-signed, meaning at the end of the season, we're going to lose these guys. Mainly getting nothing in return. We're going to lose them. They're just going to drop off and leave, go into free agency. Twins get nothing in return. By trading these guys with 2 months left in the season, now we're getting some prospects. We're getting some minor league guys. We're getting some pro guys. We're getting a whole handful of guys we didn't have before instead of nothing. Very good decisions, I think, here on these moves. Castro wouldn't have been around. He's just a utility guy. Danny Coulombe, left-handed pitcher, would not have been around. Ty France would not have been around. Twins have minor leaguer Aaron Sabato coming up, doing very well in AAA as a first baseman. He's probably going to advance, make the big leagues next year, and possibly be the Twins' everyday first baseman. That's kind of a steep thought, but just keep that in mind that we don't need a first baseman for next year. France being gone, we don't need to. He's of no use to us now for these next two, for next season. So 2 months left of the season. Got rid of Chris Paddock. Another very high salary, over $7 million for a starting pitcher. Paddock's a number 4, number 5 guy, bottom of the rotation. $7 million for Twins on the Twins financials is steep. I just don't think they want to pay that kind of money for a low end starter. Now Paddock has been had great days. He's had awful games. Ty France was good. I like Castro Bader. I thought would have been here and possibly next year. Now the relievers. The Twins relievers this season in all of 2025 either had a good games where they shut down the opponents, or they gave up home runs, gave up late inning leads, arrived into the game with base runners already on, allowing them all to score. So with all these relievers in 2025, they were a 50-50 crapshoot in my mind when I saw them come into the game. They were either going to do well or they're going to blow the game. And so getting rid of them and bringing in a new energy into this bullpen, I've got no problem. I got no problem with that. So let's go over to my screen here. I'll show you one more thing here as we go along. Okay. As you can see, Carlos Correa, look at the salary impact there going forward the next multiple years. Is he a great defender? Yes. Is he worth that kind of money offensively, though? Probably not. You got Buxton the next couple of years. He's going to stay here. He's a true Minnesotan. He has no plans to leave anywhere. Randy Dobnak, like I said, was at $3 million. Is going to move to $6 million. Club option, $1 million buyout. So they would have doubled his salary and written a check for $1 million if they didn't want to do that. Then he's due $7 million. And then 8.5 in 2028. That's dead money in most major league teams. They just call that dead money. He's not going to be up in the pros. He's not going to be major league guy. Twins signed him to a ridiculous contract with huge incentives, with all of this increases, salary increasing over the next 3 years. Best way to do with that is to give him to a team that could be better utilized somewhere else. And once again, I don't believe the Detroit Tigers as an organization looked into his contract. That just picked him up and just went with it. So Twins got away there very good. We got Lopez coming back next year. He's still making big bucks, but that's good. Bader, like I said, 6.25 this year, would have been up to 10 under a mutual agreement. If both sides came to agree, we would have been paying him $10 million. I think that's too steep for Twins taste. We have the reason we didn't move Vasquez. We have 2 more months of him. He is a quality, very good backup catcher, even though he's making $10 million. Also overpaid. Chris Paddock, 7.5, overpaid. So when the Twins make decisions to overpay people like this, there's some questionable doubts, questioning some of these contracts as far as who's making them, who's signing them. Now, what we hear is nonstop Pohlads refusing to open the checkbook. Twins are cheap. The owners are cheap. Pohlads don't care about the team. They don't care about the fans. That may be true, but the offset of that is there have been some very poor decisions on the contracts by means of overpaying, writing the checkbook, writing too big of a check, giving people too much money. And so some of these sins of the past now are clean and wiped under the table. And I think for a new owner coming in, the NFL, Major League Baseball Commissioner Manfred already did confirm essentially that the owner with the Twins is locked in and wants to do the deal. We should see that finalizing here in the next couple of months as far as owning the team. Now, did that owner, he or she, say strip down the team and get rid of these guys? I don't know. Maybe. Perhaps that person didn't want a fire sale, but perhaps that person did request that the Twins management clean up the books a little bit, get some of these long-term liabilities off the balance sheet from a financial statement, not the players, not the roster, not the team perspective, from a fan perspective, But from a business perspective, get that balance sheet cleaned up. They do not want to absorb all these long-term liabilities and big fat contracts when you take over a team. They want to start on a clean base, a clean setup, like any business buying another business. You want to have it as clean as you can. And so that, I'm guessing, is what did have something to do with how they did this, how they did this deal. Like I said, the rest of those bullpen guys that were under contract, that may have been just a spur of the moment. We can't say no to this deal. Twins, in many cases, did, I believe, in my mind, fleece the opponent on some of these trades. They got some very good players in return for players that are going to be gone next year anyway, with nothing, absolutely nothing in return. All right, here's what we got in. Twins got in. A little hard to read here. I will take a look and go through these one by one. Jimenez, a catcher. He'll report to low Class A. He's going to be slotted in as a Twins number 24 in the top 30 prospect right now. Here's my notes. Small but good catcher defensively. Throws out base stealers. Really good arm. They're going to get him for backup purposes. He's going to be a potential. His high ceiling is a major league backup catcher. So they don't think that he's even going to be a starter, everyday catcher in the major leagues, but a very good backup in the major leagues that can throw guys out, command a game, and call good pitches from behind the backstop there. Good player. Number 2, the catcher, Tate. He's going to report up to Class A high. He's been moved up, the highest pick we got. Highest pick. He's going to move into top 30 prospect slot number 4 for this catcher. And like I said, we have Jeffers. Vasquez is going away, and we're fairly, to some extent, light in the minors for catchers coming up. This Tate could be the real big deal. They like him. He's a left-handed hitter. And so what we're seeing with these players too, we got a bunch of left-handed hitters, and the pitchers that we acquired, many are left-handed, and many are left-handed starters. Very interesting. Next one, James Outman, center fielder. He's going to be in AAA with the Saints, center field. He's a center fielder. Did not have a good go at it this year. He's a major league guy, was with the Dodgers organization. He can be another guy that can be an easy call-up to the majors. We have Buxton. We're going to need insurance because Buxton is injury prone. We've got Deshaun Kiersey in center field. We've got Austin Martin in center field, who's just been recalled. So just a little more depth there is Outman, a guy that can play the position more for defense. Offensively, not having a good year. Next person is Aaron Rodin. Rodin's interesting because he's already been with the Twins. They've called him up. They didn't even call him up. He got acquired and reported directly to the Twins there in Cleveland for this series. He's a corner outfielder. He can back up Larnach. He can back up Wallner in right, Larnach in left. He can play. He could start out there on the corners. He could be a backup. He could be a DH. But more importantly, he's a first baseman. So I think that's why they went after him. He's a major league ready guy that can play first. Now, this could be a platoon issue for next year in 2026 with Aaron Sabato if he gets called up to the majors. You'll have a backup already there built in to the system, much like what Alex Kirilloff was for the Twins in the past, a backup first baseman. So I like that this is, Rodin is with the team. Now, he's another left-handed hitter, which the Twins like. They were light on left-handed outfielders. So this cleans up that problem. He's a former third-round pick, and he was a former Major League Baseball Pipeline 100 player for the Blue Jays when he was coming up. This was a Pipeline 100 guy. And so they're going to develop him on his hitting. He's hitting very weak this year, but he's good defensively and a good plug-and-play player at first base and corner outfield. Next player is Horn, left-handed pitcher. Starter, Garrett Horn. He's going to report to Class A high. Starting pitcher, former 6th-round pick by the Rangers just last year. I repeat that. Just last July, he was picked 6th round by the Rangers. So a young guy out of college, ready to go. He should move up quickly. A left-handed starter. They do like these left-handed starters. The Twins have had very few of them over the years. Next pick, starting with the letter number 6 here, letter M, Mikulski. Mikulski is going to report to high A. He is a left-handed reliever. He was a second-round pick by the Giants and 50th overall in 2021. So he was a top 50 pick in the 2021 draft. A left-handed reliever. Twins are looking forward to him moving up through the ranks. Number 7, Rojas. He's going to report directly to AAA with the Saints. Left-handed starting pitcher. He's been slotted in the top 30 prospect list at number 7 in the Twins organization. He's going to be moving up quickly. They're planning on him to be in the big leagues in 2026. So not this year. He'll finish the last 2 months here in AAA with the Saints, start next year in AAA, and then this guy could be in the starting rotation. Rojas, look for him, the starting rotation for the Twins next year. Player number 8 is Henry Mendez. He's a corner outfielder. He's going to report to AA Wichita. He plays left and right field. He's number 20 on the Twins' top 30 prospect list. He's a Dominican Republican from the Dominican Republic, left-handed hitter, 6'3" in height. Corner outfielder. This guy's already in AA. Look for him to be AAA next year right off the bat for Mendez. And look for him to make his major league debut in 2026, which is next year already. This will be a good guy to watch. Next player, number 9, Mick Abel. Right-handed pitcher. He's going to report directly to the Twins' AAA affiliate for the Saints. He's slotted as number 6 in the Twins' top 30 prospects right now in the entire organization, number 6. Look for him to be in the starting rotation as early as this year. This year, 2025, the next 2 months. Look for him to get a couple starts with the Saints and then move up with the September call-ups for the Twins already. Mick Abel. He's a 6'5", big righty. Twins like tall pitchers. He fits the bill. Look for him to be in the big leagues already this year in the Twins starting rotation. Next, we have Sam Armstrong, number 10. He's going to report to AA. He's a right-handed pitcher. He's a 6'2" guy, not ranked in the top 30 for the Twins, but when he was with the Cubs just last week, he was number 30 on their top 30 prospect list. So he's right on the fringe of the top 30 prospect list. Not with the Twins, because I think they're deeper than the Cubs on talent on their farm system. So he's not going to be listed, but he's right on the fringe there. He's a starting pitcher, and he's an inning eater, not a flamethrower. He's not a guy that could be flashy on the mound, but he will eat up a lot of innings as a starting pitcher, meaning consistently into the 6th, into the 7th, into the 8th innings. He will eat up a bunch of innings. He was a 13th round draft pick by the Cubs in 2023. Look for the name Armstrong as a starting pitcher for the Saints and the Twins. Next is Bradley, number 11 here. Bradley, right-handed pitcher. He's going to report to AAA for the Saints. Look for him also to be potential starting rotation in 2025. This guy already was in the big leagues, was sent back down, but Taj Bradley is a guy that could be up at any time now with the Twins for the final 2 months of the season. A strong right-handed starter. Number 12 is Gallagher, right-handed pitcher. He's going to report to AA Wichita. He's been ranked as number 16 in the Twins prospects for top 30 prospects. He's a starter. He's a 6'4" big guy. Look for him to make the big leagues by the year 2027. 2027. He'll be in AA this year, probably AAA in 2025, and then make the big leagues after that. He was the 6th round pick last July by the Chicago Cubs. 6th round pick in 2024. So Twins are also able to snatch up some of these early top 10 draft picks by these other teams just from last year. Finally, number 13, Villoria. He's in report to rookie camp, right-handed pitcher, 16 years old. Yes, repeat, 16 years old. Young guy with some talent there. That'll be a name to follow down the road. Let's take a look here. Major League pipeline for the Twins. Most teams have 2 or 3 players in the MLB pipeline 100. These are the minor league players, top 100 in the nation. Top 100 Major League Baseball that have not yet made their debut in Major League Baseball, but the top 100. Like I said, most teams have 2 or 3. Some may have 4. The Twins now have 6 in the pipeline 100. They got Jenkins at 12, Rodriguez at 40, Luke Keeschel 42. He's back now with the Twins. He'll be back recovering from that forearm break that he had. But now the new guy, Tate the catcher, he's been slotted at 56. 56th best player in all the minor leagues. Kalen Culpepper's 84, having a tremendous season for the Twins minor leagues. And then Mick Abel slotted at 91. Twins now have, right now as we speak, 6 players in the pipeline, MLB pipeline 100. Very, very good. And after this trade deadline fire sale, Twins are sitting, I think, pretty good there. Here's a last little analysis that I've got. When we take the players, the 11 that were out, that we got rid of, versus the in players that we received, Twins received 13 players, so our net is 2 up. Here it is, position by position. No real impact there. First base, second base, we lost. I considered Castro a second baseman. We didn't get anybody in return there. Twins have Julian. They have Casey Clemens, or Cody Clemens. We have guys there that can play. Shortstop, Correa's out. We have Brooks Lee, no impact there for the Twins. Third base, no change. Left field, Bader's gone, but we did bring in a left fielder. We also got a center fielder in. Now look at this, starting pitching, SP. We had 2 people leave. Paddock and Dobnak are out of the Twins organization. We picked up 6 in return. 2 of those could be with the major leagues this year already. Now, the reason we picked up 6, not because we're getting rid of players, but because they're so young. The Twins already have 3 players selected, scheduled to make their 2025 debut in 2025. And there's only 2 months left of the season. We have Andrew Morris, Corey Lewis. We've got some guys, Marco Raya, that are scheduled, that are already top 30 prospects to start for Major League Baseball for the Twins already in this year. There's only 2 months left of the season. I don't see all those 3 coming up with these other 2 that we just picked up. So as an organization, the Twins are stacked for starting pitching. Now, with all these deals being made, keep in mind that we already have Lopez, we have Ober, and we have Joe Ryan, and we have Simeon Woods Richardson. So 5-man rotation. Paddock's the only odd man out, and we have potentially Festa and Zebby Matthews in the wings. No real impact on starting pitching by all these trades. No real impact at shortstop. Brooks Lee will plug right in there, no problem. And first base, we've got Mickey Gasper. We've got this new guy, Roden, from the Blue Jays. So there shouldn't be much impact. We keep hearing on the news and media that the Twins roster has been depleted. But because the Twins are deep with players that can play multiple positions, there's no real big drop-off there in talent. Now, look at the relievers. 5 relievers out. Only 2 in return. So we're short by 3 net on the day. Now, keep in mind, the Twins organization are bludgeoning. Their farm system is so good and so deep that those players will be called up. And some of those players that are scheduled to be starters, that are supposed to be making their major league debut, we had a Pearson Ole, which wasn't really on the radar, made his debut, and now he's going to be called up and used out of the bullpen. So some of these starters, look for them to come up this season yet in the next 2 months and be used in relief. That'll give us a good chance to see these guys, see how they do, and get used to the major league experience. A lot of pitching the Twins have down at that Saints AAA that are just a phone call away from coming up. A lot of depth. Catching, we touched on with the two that we have this year. They didn't want to touch the catching and wreck anything there. Leave that alone. Two good guys coming in here in the pipeline. So 13 players coming in. 13 players coming in, 11 going out. So I think that's all I've got for this. Twins, tough decisions were made. The downfall of the guys leaving, I don't think are that big of a risk, that much of a drop off that are leaving the organization. The players coming in, I think have a lot of top side, have a lot of ceiling for the guys coming in. And then from a financial standpoint, the books are so clean now with all this cleaning out those sins of the past, these huge, exorbitant contracts that Twins management signed. And so the general manager was in on this deal here with this. The Polad owner that was running the show was in on the deals for these things. These were some. I have no problem with the trades overall. I think this was a good fix that we did get. I've never been a Twins Major League Minnesota Twins season ticket holder. With the trades that took place here with the guys coming in, I am now considering thinking about getting a flex plan for next year or something, because I've got some excitement for this Twins team going forward with these moves. I do like these moves. Leave your comments below and anything I may have missed. Thanks for listening.